Hey everybody, this week's First Chapter Friday is called Closer to Nowhere by Ellen Hopkins. So this is a novel in verse. If you've never read a novel in verse, they kind of look like this. So it's going to be a series of poems that eventually make a complete story. So you should know that novels in verse are typically written this way because of the content. So they do tend to be a little bit darker. They tend to deal with kind of the bad things that can happen to people. This is a prime example of one of those stories. So it is about a boy who has to move in with his cousin who is about his same age because his mom is no longer able to take care of him. So a lot of it is just a family drama story of him kind of adapting to his new lifestyle and also his cousin not being too pleased with the fact that now she's got him to deal with. He's got a lot of problems fitting in at school, a lot of problems just in general with his temper and the way that he responds to things. And so it's a really, really good story. And it's also a really great quick read if you are one of those people who likes to have constant changing chapters, because even though it's really, really thick, since it's written in verse, it goes really quickly as well. So we're actually going to read the first few chapters because each chapter here is really just a one-page individual poem that sets a story. So, chapter 1. Fact or fiction? You can know where you are and still be lost. Answer? Take it from me. I'm Cal, and I've been lost since Mom died 3 years ago. Oh, I couldn't show you exactly where this town is on the map, lead you through the maze of its streets, though I've only lived here 14 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days. I'm safe for now, but I don't know how long that will last. I'm afraid if I start to believe I belong here, everything will change again. It's like off in the distance, I can see something that could be home, but every time I start in that direction, it's farther away. And no matter how hard I try to reach it, I only get closer to nowhere. Definition of Hannah Lincoln. Wait a second. You want me to define me? Let me think. Okay, here goes. I'm Hannah Lincoln. Dad says we're not related to the dead president, and I believe him. I don't look anything like Honest Abe. He was tall and skinny, and I'm short and built muscly like a gymnast because I am one. He had dark hair, and mine's red with highlights like the color of a new penny. He had a beard. No, not even a hint of hair on my chin. But I am like President Lincoln in a good way. One time, my dad told me I was honest as the day is long. Well, when I said I didn't know what he meant, he said trustworthy 24 hours a day. I asked because I need to understand what stuff means and how things work. If I don't get what someone says, I make them explain. If I don't know the definition of a word, I'll look it up. And if I don't get the hang of a gymnastics move, I'll practice until I nail it. That's important because I've got a giant dream, which doesn't make me a dreamer. I'm a doer, focused, dedicated, not afraid of hard work. My coach would tell you I'm all of these things and that they're exactly what it will take to qualify for the Olympics one day. Well, those, plus tons of help from my family. I used to count on that. My parents were my support system, totally solid. We were a great team. But like 3 years ago, just before I turned 9, Mom's sister got leukemia and died, and everything started to fall apart. Definition of status quo: the way things were. 3 years ago, this is the way things were. We lived, still do, in a nice house, in a sweet neighborhood, in a small San Diego suburb. Dad was, still is, a computer whiz, building systems all around Southern California. He had dinner with us pretty much every night. Mom was, still is, the person who made me love dance. She worked at a studio teaching jazz and ballet to help pay for my own lessons. I went, still do, to a grade school just around the corner from home. I'd taken dance for 5 years and been in gymnastics for 4. My parents came to every recital, cheered me at every meet. They sat close, held hands. I was okay being an only child. Today, this is our status quo. Mom quit her job to take care of Aunt Karen when she got sick and needed a bone marrow transplant. She never went back to work. I wish she would. I think she was happier. I know Dad was. He has to work twice as hard now. He travels around the country showing other people how to build computer systems. We eat too many dinners without him. But when he's home, he and Mom argue a lot, mostly about money and bills. I hate it when they yell. I'm in Mrs. Peabody's sixth grade class at the same school I've gone to since kindergarten. I still do dance and gymnastics, and Mom drives me to every recital and meet. Dad misses some. When he's there, they sit with space between them. Oh, and now I'm sharing everything: home, parents, even my teacher with my cousin. I am so not okay with that. Definition of resent: feel bothered by. Cal moved in a little more than a year ago. He wasn't exactly a stranger. Aunt Karen was his mom, and she and my mom were more than sisters. They were identical twins. Two halves of a whole, Mom called them. They were close, but they didn't live near each other. Aunt Karen moved to Arizona before Cal was born. She visited once in a while and came to a couple of family reunions. Talk about trouble. I guess when Aunt Karen met Cal's dad and dropped out of college, it made Grandma mad. They hardly talk at all anymore, Mom told me once, and when they do, they just end up shouting. So why does Aunt Karen go to the reunions? I asked. Grandma's always there. Karen still wants to be part of the family, and she wants Cal to know his relatives. I think Grandma should forgive her, I said. I think so too, but my mother has a hard time with forgiveness. She thinks it's a sign of weakness. Grandma still hadn't forgiven her when Aunt Karen died. I'll never forget that day. Mom cried, and when she finally stopped, her face was so puffed up I could barely see her eyes. I lost a piece of myself, she said. Maybe Cal living with us was like getting that piece back. Maybe that's why Mom lets him get away with everything, from pranks to meltdowns to lies. I'm sorry, but I resent that. Try to find a little sympathy, Mom urges. After Karen passed, things got rough for Cal. His dad took him after the funeral, but the details in the next 2 years are a bit of a mystery, and no one's giving out clues. You'll have to wait for Cal to tell you, Mom says. It's not up to me. Whatever happened, I feel sorry for Cal. If my mom died, I'd be lost too. Cal must feel lost sometimes too. So yeah, I want to forgive his quirks. Definition of quirk: weird habit. Still, Cal isn't easy to live with. I like order, routine, and he is the king of chaos. Our spare room is Cal's lair now. Mom let him paint it charcoal and doesn't even yell about the mess. Greasy wrappers here, dirty clothes there. Imagine what's crawling around in his closet. Gross. I have to share a bathroom with him, which might not be so bad, except he forgets to drop the toilet seat. I've splashed down in the dark more than once. Gross squared. Cal drinks milk straight from the carton and brushes his teeth without toothpaste, and sometimes doesn't brush them at all. Gross cubed. Those are the little things, but Cal has bigger problems. Like right now, at school, we're outside for recess. It never really gets cold here, but it's early November. The sky is gray and the air is kind of sharp, and almost everyone is playing ball. Softball, kickball, tetherball, basketball. But Cal is sitting against the wall of the sixth grade building, face in a book. He reads like 3 a week. Our teacher, Mrs. Peabody, keeps telling him to slow down. Comprehension means more than word count, she says. But no, he has to read more than anyone else and ask for books that are long and advanced. Sometimes it seems like he's showing off. And the problem with that is that it can draw attention of bullies, especially those who think it's hilarious to make someone freak out. They're go-to now, and they're headed in Cal's direction. This could be bad. All right, that is the first few chapters of Closer to Nowhere. So definitely give this one a try, especially if you like novels and verse. It's in the library for you to check out right now.